Salesforce Field Service Office Hours. We are back at it again. We've got a somewhat short agenda. Well, I don't know about short. We've got a lot of agendas, topics to talk about. Just we'll talk about them a little bit at a time. The first one I wanted to talk to everybody about was the beginning of Asset Service Lifecycle. I got access to an org and some talking points. Again, I still don't really have that point of view on what the fastest way to configure the tool is. But what I really wanted to do was see what the components are, see what the differences are, see how it applies to the mobile app and things like that. And then I wanted to run past work plans and work steps and how that could be visible in a partner community. That was a Bruce request. And then I also was working on a first time fixed rate problem for a customer and wanted to kind of talk through that with you all today too. So that's the agenda. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add? If not, we'll do just a quick overview of what I've learned so far from an asset service lifecycle perspective. So asset service lifecycle has many components. There's a sales component, the service component. If you want to get an additional SKU, a connected asset component, and then there's that bottom left-hand corner that it's not coming to me right now. So I will, as we walk through it, I'll pull up the slide that shows that. I mean, maybe I can find it right away. Asset service. Okay, it is not quick. Maybe it's called ASLN. Yep. Where are these slides? Of course, it's not close. Here it is. Okay. Asset service revenue. Okay. So it's the pre-sales piece, the service piece, and then connected assets here, which is another SKU. Like you actually, there's a separate SKU for that. Oh, great. I don't want to ask AI assistant. There, this one right here. With another add-on, connected asset add-on. Okay. And then this ASLM asset service revenue. So I guess finding new opportunities, but the inventory visibility, auto replenish, and audits. I hear a lot of field service customers asking for this. So I kind of wanted to dig into this capability. Kind of nothing in here, to be honest. It was this one that I wanted to look at. And then I wanted to see what the coverage looks like. So I don't really know what the mobile piece, how that applies to it here. But what's okay, so what's interesting here is asset health score. Is that all part of asset service lifecycle? And therefore we need another SKU to get this. So I'll show you. And then this one, asset lifetime value and customer lifetime value. So the org that I'm looking at has this tool thing. Okay. So on a mobile app, I can see the asset, right? So if I'm looking at a mobile app, I can see the asset details, but there are actions here called asset health score. If this is part of that other component, we have to pay for the 2 licenses. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but this is the piece that I love the most. Like we can see how old it is, what the usage is, the performance metrics, when the estimated end of life would be. And then if there are any alerts, I can't click on any alerts because I guess there aren't any. they would be here. But I thought this was really pretty. And then these assets, asset hierarchy. So you can drill into maybe some of the more expensive components that might be attached to an asset. Is maintained as installed. I guess I can't really actually enter into these assets. It's just more for display purposes only because I'm trying to press on it and nothing's happening. And then we have coverage. So coverage shows all of the service contracts, the warranties, and then if there's any parent or child assets for that, like there's no contracts here at all. Oh, what did you find here?
Yeah, I think some of
Nice.
the secret sauce you're talking about behind the scenes
Yeah,
is data cloud CRM analytics. Like i-
maybe.
if you're wanting to use the pretty component, what feeds it is stuff you need licenses for.
Right. Right. So that's the mobile piece. And I think that that's like really pretty. I'll show you some other things that they had here. They suggested creating new inventory counts here as a new list view. And we can add more items here. So the new timesheet capability is in here. So this is what starting my shift looks like, times, meals, gifts, and my time off. So this is what it looks like on the mobile app. So I didn't realize that was all part of this too, though, right? I don't see anything about timesheets here. That could just be a manufacturing cloud special, but I also thought that timesheets like this was, yeah, I think you get timesheets if you buy Asset Service Lifecycle or if you have Utilities Cloud.
I think the things you're saying are true as well. Maybe it's because you don't have manufacturing, this is the way they throw in the timesheet stuff if you get this add-on.
Correct. Asset Service Lifecycle add-on. Perfect. Okay. So again, haven't really played with this, but have been sitting in with the product team on how they're building this out and what that data model looks like. So it looks really cool. We could do what's the baseline timesheets versus the advanced timesheet. So when we met maybe like 4 or 5 sessions ago, we were talking about inventory. So, what does field service inventory look like? And then, what does asset service lifecycle inventory give us to extend what the field service capabilities are? So, if we move to the desktop experience, this is also very cute. When you have an asset, it gives you access to these milestones and these timelines, which are lightning components that you can drag onto your page layout, right? So if you go to edit page, you should see the milestone component and the timeline component. And these are more industry specials, right? And I guess they just grabbed what was nice in Industries Cloud and put it into Asset Service Lifecycle because these are the kind of components that we like to have. So if we looked at, I guess it's, oh, wait, let's just see with custom and then what's timeline. This guy, I think. Timeline configurations, right. So timeline configurations, we have to go to setup. So kind of similar to what we saw with paths, we have to go into setup and create our own timelines for each object. Oh, not plural. It's just timeline, this guy right here. Right. So you create a timeline for the object that you're looking for. Let's see if we can view this and see what it is. all we're really seeing is just a summary of all of the work orders. And that's it. Nothing really exciting. But we are seeing work orders and asset ID. So anything related to the asset. Oh, great. What happened to my asset? I think it was in here. Yeah. So the HVAC condenser unit. Oh, and then of course, because I'm in the field service layout, I don't have access to that. Oh, my hand is up because for reasons, I guess, lower hand. If I change my app to be a console, right? So this manufacturing cloud console, this is the look and feel, right? Lightning pages can be applied to profiles and apps. That's what happened here. So yeah, you can add the timeline, you can add the milestones so that you can get that 360-degree view of your equipment. These thresholds is a when we created this, I think this was about 3 years ago. We have to use asset record set filter criterias. We never really wrapped our heads fully around how this is really going to work. Has anybody set up asset these thresholds yet? So the idea is you have, if it's under this number, 50,000 BTUs, it's good. If it goes over, it puts up some sort of icon for you. So that's a field service capabilities. So, right. So if it's, okay, right now it's 5,500. So you would need to have some sort of connected app, right? Or IoT device sending you this data point. And if it's populating this data point, then you would know whether or not you're within the thresholds. And this is what would trigger an alert to either create a work order or something. But that's what the intent of this threshold is. So if I just said, let's do, I don't know, air pressure, and I'd have to create a new record set filter criteria, which means that I have to go all the way over here, record set filter criteria, and let's look at all of these. We'd have to see what these attributes are. So let's take a look at the heating HVAC one, and let's edit this. Because then we get this, the filter conditions only appear this way.
Mm-hmm. And these record set filter criteria are the same thing you use in like the usage-based PM plans and things like that they have as well.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know.
They were supposed to expand this, by the way, to not only accept like, because what this is doing right here is fields on the asset. And I think ultimately they wanted it to work with their asset attribute object. But I don't know if that ever came.
With the asset attribute object. I believe it does. So
asset attribute's an interesting object too. It is not normal. I think it's actually a big object under the covers. Yeah, because it's really weird trying to like trigger off of it or anything. It's very odd. But it wasn't, I couldn't find any documentation anywhere telling me explicitly that it was a big object. It just walks and talks like one.
So this is what I was getting. It was kind of a special type of feature. And when we were trying to wrap our heads around it, when I was working there, we couldn't really understand it. So I think that was part of the challenge, was if the readiness and success architects don't understand the product, that's part of the reason why there's no documentation, I think.
Is it like one tiny way of explaining? It's like they wanted to try and lift off of the, let's say, designated work. You have like special fields here and there. You can hook this in. I think it was a way of layering that on top of other objects and say, if this doesn't look right to you, do this and base it on something. So all your criteria now can be built out in these record set filters, and they can be based on these multiple objects. I would hate to try and do a data lift and shift with all this stuff built in place. It seems crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it's like if you can wrap your head around designated work and the fields needed for that, I think it's a way of generalizing that and saying, let's, hook that to different things.
Yeah. Let's validate that because I could have sworn that we had an asset attribute. Let's see how this is. Heating criteria, record set criteria monitor. So there is an object called criteria monitor that's on the asset. So, okay, let's go get that. Oh, I still don't have that. See, I think, so again, why do you set this up? I don't know how many people actually leverage this.
Try making a new record set filter criteria. Let's see what options.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do here, right? So I was trying to do it here. So like call it air pressure.
Okay, yep.
And then the source object was the criteria monitor, which is the same as that HVAC one.
Yep.
And then it's an asset.
Yeah, that's the only option still. Yeah.
Right. So now heating, they've got an attribute called heating. And there's an attribute.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So instead of just fields, you also have attributes. Yep.
Yes. So now, but where do I create a new attribute for air pressure?
So you have to go and define them first.
Yeah. That's where I was kind of bouncing away from.
Yeah. I think it's like asset attribute type, something like that. They did the
I'm
same.
just going to do this for now. Save that. Asset attribute. You think it's called, that's what it's called?
It might be product attribute.
Attribute categories, something like that. Maybe it's here.
So anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons, right? We've got our strength and our charisma, but all those things on the assets, all perfectly fine.
Maybe it's an attribute definition.
Yep. There you go.
We did it. Okay. So I'm going to call it air pressure. Okay. So I guess I still need an API name. It's not friendly that I can't just tab that in. Data type is a number. Unit of measure. Oh, what is it? Is it like air pressure is like BSUs or something like that, or PSUs?
Parts per
PSI. PSI. Yes, thank you. It's like pound per something, right?
Square inch. We use inches here.
I use inches too.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what this would be. A weight? Custom? We'll just call it custom for now. Well, I don't know about required. Default value? I don't know. I'm just going to make something up. Okay, so let's take a look at the heating one that was created in this org. Oh, okay. They've got a BTU measuring unit, active, anything related, no categories, and no default value. So maybe I'm going to just copy and not put a default value. All right, now let's see. If I can edit this, or yeah, I might be able to. And maybe I need to refresh.
Yay.
Yeah, right? I don't think it's equals. I think it's got to be greater than or less than. So I'm going to just say less than, not equals.
Oh, like the equals would be warning, it is exactly 220.
Yeah, exactly. Like that doesn't really happen. But we do want to say if it's less than this, then there's not enough pressure to operate the machine, or your tire's low or whatever. I don't know. Right. So then the idea would be, now that I have this record set criteria, I could add this to the asset. So create a new threshold that says, go look at your air pressure. But then the question is, where is it? Right. So this undetermined show threshold conditions, right? So where does this get saved? Let's
Yep.
look at the connected asset, right? All this data is really pretty on this asset service lifecycle, real pretty. Somebody did ask if it was, where's this information stored? Is it on a document and it extracts it? And no, really, it's all of these data points that then consolidated into this Lightning Web component, really is what it is.
Yeah. It's from Data Cloud, I think, too.
There is Data Cloud happening here, although, there's actually a field. So, Frank, it does look like it is a field on the asset.
Which one?
No, this heating is on the asset. So if I change
They
this,
might just copy the asset attribute into that field too. That's very possible.
Okay, well, I
Isn't it
just changed
something
it.
that
Let's
we
see.
expect the system to feed or someone to feed into the system, right? Because
But at the end of the day, we should be
Yeah, go to
able to
related.
see
Yeah,
what it
you
is.
should have. There
Oh,
you
it is
go.
an asset attribute.
Yeah, there you
Awesome.
go.
Okay, cool.
So you could
then
add a
it
new
is
one right
brought
there.
over. Got it. Okay, so then let me just bring this back to 55,000. So I did change it here. So it's not, this value is not pulling from there. It is pulling from the related record. We can figure things out.
Yeah. So
We're
if you pause-
Salesforce masters.
So on the right, where it says undetermined, it's because this asset doesn't have an attribute that is its PSI right now.
Correct.
Until
Correct. Which
you
goes to
add it
what,
now. Yeah.
yes, which goes to what Koppel was saying, right? Do we have more than one Mark on? No, Mark is here. Yeah, just one Mark. So yeah, well, that's what Mark was saying, if it's got to come from somewhere, that data point has to come
Right.
from somewhere. So until then, it's coming from Leanne.
Right. So if it's not IoT, it's a data load or an integration from somewhere. Every once in a while, we look and this asset's pressure is 125 today. Save.
Correct.
You've just updated the asset attribute of this asset, and look, it's within the threshold. Hooray.
Right. Okay. So, and then here's where we have to double check, because again, Leanne has that dysfunction where if it's one or the other, she always cheated the wrong one. So I actually meant if it's lower than 220, it's bad. Not if it's above 220, it's bad. Although we could have both, right? It's got to be within this threshold, because if the pressure is too high, we're going to explode. And if the pressure is too low, we're not going to have any performance, right? So that's something that we need to think about here.
Can we have this on mobile as well? Can we feed those attributes from the
Yeah.
mobile
So
side?
now that exists, I was looking at that to see, okay, here's the HVAC condenser unit.
Yeah.
So here's the health score.
Can you go to the related? It should be under related.
I've got performance metrics, but yeah, I was kind of hoping to see,
There you go. Asset attributes. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping to see something like this, the outside of threshold, within threshold. I remember seeing early mock-ups of those to just see.
Oh, to
what
see your
that-
thresholds on here specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't there some mobile view where you had those little actions at the top? Maybe not on the work order, but score alert. Oh,
Yeah, right?
under your alerts, that right-hand
There's
button.
I can't click it. It's not clickable.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cute, but
It's a trap.
not. Yeah, exactly. What do they call that? It's like clickbait or catfish. Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, this is the my asset hierarchy. And then view coverage. yeah, still, but I do remember that there was something that they wanted to add here, and I'm just, again,
For
I'm
the
not
thresholds, huh?
seeing it. Yeah, for the thresholds.
Maybe we have to do some mobile config to get them to show up or something.
Or it's possible in this org, I don't really have
Yeah.
that specific thing set up yet. So yeah, I can
Cool.
ask somebody about that.
If anybody tries to work with asset attributes and you try to integrate them in, I'll give you a couple tips because we've
Oh,
done it,
you've worked
right?
with that? Okay, tell us
Yeah,
everything.
we've done it. So we have our IoT tool, and
Mhm.
so one of our features is that we can sync in the IoT data into Salesforce, and you can choose however often you want, once an hour, once a day, whatever it is, right? And when
Mhm.
you sync it in, you can choose what object you want to feed it into. So one of our options is asset attribute,
Okay, great.
since it's the you know,
Perfect.
new hot topic, right? So
Yep.
when you try to do it though, like I said, it walks and talks like a big object. And what I mean by that is you can't use normal inserts and updates on them.
Mm.
What you have to do instead is it's a weird API. It's so if you're in Apex, you do something called database dot insert immediate. And so through an API call, I think it would be something different too, because the normal insert just throws an error. Very,
Yeah.
very unhelpful, opaque error as well. But
Okay.
but yeah, and then there's a lot of limits as well on asset attributes. So you can only have 25 asset attributes per asset.
Okay.
Some of our customers have 200, data points in their IoT feed. So
Oh, yes.
so we allow them to kind of pick and choose which ones they want to sync and things like that as well, right? So that they can really get this data into the system how they want to. So just be aware that it's a weird object. It behaves differently, and there's limits.
Can you bribe Salesforce to expand that number or no?
I don't know. I haven't tried. But the other thing is you also can't, as Leanne was finding when she tried to do it through the screens, right? You can't just insert an asset attribute. You have to create the attribute definition first if it doesn't exist, and link the asset attribute to a definition
Mhm.
when you create it. Yep.
Well, at least it's not in the field sets, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So a little bit of something to uncover. Thank you very much. That's
And isn't part of this also that agent force is supposed to be able to work if it's outside of the threshold to send something to the customer? You've got an issue, schedule an appointment.
yeah, I think that's where that's why I was digging into this to just
Mhm.
see, right? Like, because there's this concept of, okay, so here's an asset attribute. Like, where would those alerts be? Let's see. So, related to this asset attribute, is there an alert that we could have? Because how would
There,
they
there was a
trigger it?
checkbox that said outside of threshold.
You saw that?
Yeah, I don't remember where. If you go back to the main thing, I think it was on.
It was in the asset, the upper right, where
Yeah,
This one,
yeah,
but
within
here,
threshold.
this is within threshold.
how about on the asset itself in the upper right next to new work order? Are there more actions up there? Far up, there you go. No, I wonder, could you add them to the page or?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is the cute thing, but again, no, I can't
Yeah.
click this alerts thing.
And my understanding was that this asset health thing was fed from Data Cloud. And I believe they were doing is they basically set up I forget what they're called, a Data Cloud, a pipeline or something like that to
Yeah.
basically import the asset data from, Salesforce proper into your Data Cloud. And then they run this on Data Cloud. They do some data. I forget what they're called, but not calculations, data. Anyway, like the long-term sort of categorized aggregated values where they say, what's our last 1 month average, this, that, the other, and that's the values you're seeing, your insights, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that where it is? Calculated insights in Data Cloud. So I think that's what they're doing there.
They're
Okay.
saying like the IoT device would send it to Salesforce to record. And
Well,
then
the asset health score, in my mind, the asset health score is a little different than the IoT devices and everything. So what manufacturing cloud is building around IoT devices is a separate SKU they're calling connected assets.
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to look at today? Or
Well, we're just trying to understand how these attributes, I guess we are starting to scratch the surface of connected assets, but what we're really looking at is asset service lifecycle, the differences between it, and then just what can the tech see from the mobile app. But
Okay.
where I'm going to go next is under the inventory piece. But we kind of fell down this rabbit hole to just see where these alerts would come. And yeah, that's kind of,
Yep.
we fell down this rabbit hole here. So I do want to see like this asset layout, the related list, the monitor. So this criteria monitors the criteria monitor is the one that says that it's within the threshold or not. So let's just see if I got that. I don't know if I'm on the right page layout or not. And then after we check this one, I want to pivot because I do want to check out those other two items too. Related. Okay, it's not this page layout. Right. Let's get to it from here. Oh, of course. I should refresh again. Let's see. No, perfect. Okay, so this is within threshold. This is not within threshold. So I guess like we've got this asset attribute that's created, and then another criteria monitor that determines whether or not it's within the threshold or not. So this one is there. So if I created a new, so Frank, what you were saying was this is special. So are you saying that I cannot edit this? I have to create a new one?
No, I think you can edit it. I was just saying you can't use
Okay.
just the typical, like what's called DML statements, where you just do like
Yes.
an insert or an update on this record. It doesn't allow that. So you have to use a special one as insert immediate and update immediate.
Wow.
Which when I researched those, I found that, that's what you have to use with big objects. So that's what led me to believe that asset attribute is actually big up, which makes sense, right? Because you're talking about hanging, X number of records off of every asset in your system. So yeah, maybe that is a good use for big objects. But if they are allowing, if it is big objects, why limit us to 25 each then?
Yeah, I
You know?
agree. Which is also strange too, because this didn't update to say it's not within the threshold. Go ahead.
No, that's kind of where I was reaching is like,
Yeah.
if those change according to the other record, if the attribute reads it's in or out of scope now,
Yep.
couldn't that be your, like, why would you need agent force to say this has happened? Like, couldn't you just trigger off of a record set filter criteria monitor has been updated to show it's not within threshold? And
so I
send
think
a custom notification.
that's ultimately what it is. And then this is the perfect thing to say, is this an agent force solution, or do we just use regular automation like a platform event or just a flow or something that say, if all of a sudden this record set filter criteria gets updated to be unchecked, because I don't know what unchecks this. Because it's got to be some sort of fancy thing in the background.
Right. I would assume it's some sort of a trigger on that asset attribute, right? But
But this isn't, this is in the product.
Mm-hmm.
Can you check
Right.
where it's used?
Yep.
Not going to get that lucky.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, it could be some async automation that fires or some batch job that's checking. Nope.
Yeah. Because if this
Classic.
is
Oh.
if this is a product related thing, presumably I could do platform event to see if it changes. Let's just check to see this within threshold. Hold on 1 second. Let's just see. So I've got within threshold. Default value is false. Default value is false. That's
Default
weird.
don't create, you see?
So
Goes up.
it doesn't want to make you a promise that the data doesn't support.
Yeah.
Everything's haywire. Got a good reason.
Yeah. Right? That's weird.
Where do we set these thresholds, right? Because that's what it's supposed to be comparing to.
Yeah, that's what this is, right? So we've got an attribute definition. Then we have a record set filter criteria record that references a criteria monitor. So this is just saying, I don't know.
And,
It's
and
new.
did you have to
I don't
set one
know.
of, and did you have
Yeah.
to set one of these up for each asset that you have in your system? So
For
for example, if
each-
you go to a different asset than the one that we've been looking at, does it have these thresholds as well, or no?
Let's check. Yeah, I don't have any thresholds. So yes,
So
you
it
would
is
have to create a threshold.
asset by asset. Ooh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. They've got to add an asset typing concept. At least,
Yeah. Exactly. So which of these? There's a lot of data here to
Yeah.
just set this up to get that monitor piece.
Mm-hmm.
So back to last week, we were talking about reference data and quasi metadata. Here's more of it. Right? Just to get cute with asset status notifications. But these are the things that make a difference to techs and maybe even to customers too, right? So got to think of a way to, when a new asset's created, like what type is this? Therefore, it should have these thresholds, maybe by product family. I don't know, but that's got to be some sort of strategy to think of.
I can definitely see it being useful for like even preventative maintenance. And this machine ran so many hours as opposed to it's been so many days. So the machine sends how many hours it's run. And
I agree with that.
Then that's when we want service as opposed to, it's been 90 days since it was serviced. And even though the machine only ran half the time for whatever reason.
So that would be, instead of thresholds, that would be preventative maintenance. So we can dig into that one next week because I have to look at that for another customer has got a scope for. So I'm getting the details on that tomorrow, and I'm just going to figure out how long it takes to build something rough. So, and it's got to be right? So if the machine operating hours is, it's I think they said I know it's every 90 days. I think it's 250 hours or 90 days. I guess it's kind of like changing our oil on our car. It's X number of miles or kilometers or 3 months, which is, I guess, also 90 days, right? So same sort of thing. Yeah. So I think that'll be fun to dig into next. So again, knowing that assets, this is what customers really need monitored in order to help with the skill decline, resource shortage, I guess is the better way to put it. If we have connected assets and we've got higher visibility into those assets, we can better predict how frequently we need to service these assets. So slow and steady, we're going to eventually become experts in this. Now let's move on to something that we can actually master. Does that feel good for our brains? Feels good for my brain. I'm flipping over to work plans. So I just created an app. This is not the right org. Yeah. Okay. So I created an app for work plans. And see, okay, so here's the like, I know what objects are in play for work plans. I still haven't figured out all of the assets in like objects in play for asset service lifecycle. And then out of the asset service lifecycle, which feature set do I need anyway? So like, I'm still far behind on my expert journey, if you will. This is how I know I understand this capability. I know the objects. I know what I need to work on in order to set up this feature. Just such a comforting place to be in. It's where you actually know your stuff. Okay, so when we set up work plans, templates, and work step templates, I've always, you can start by creating the plan template first, but really it means nothing if you don't have the steps involved, right? So you kind of need to set up both and then you have to link them. So the work plan template entries are the junction object between the plans and the steps. And I've bumped into an unfortunate scenario where somebody created a step for every single plan instead of one step that can link to multiple plans. Like the poor guy created maybe like 15 of the exact same work steps because there were 15 different plans. And he thought that he needed to create one step for every single plan, but that's not true. You can have unless it's a totally different flow, right? Or a totally different action for each step. But if it's the exact same step, like let's just say it's when you start every single job, you have to disconnect the battery charger. Like make the work step to disconnect the battery charger. That is probably part of like maybe 5 or 6 different work plans. Like just use the same step. It's the same thing. Like, did you do it? Yes or no? You know, some of them are probably there's only one step for 1 or 2 work plans. But again, that's something that you'd have to create. Yeah, go ahead, please.
But yeah, I think the other point you're trying to drive home is the steps themselves can be generic enough. Like if I say, take a picture of my cool car, and that's the name of the step, and the flow
Yep.
is take a picture of asset whose hard-coded ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's lame-ish. If it take a picture of the asset in question, and when it's launched, it finds the asset on the Wally or the work order and goes, you're taking a picture of this cool car or that big generator or whatever, you can rely on the flows themselves, the steps themselves to be general enough to support all your needs. That's kind of what you're getting at.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at. So try to make them as generic as possible, especially if it's a yes, no thing. Like obviously that should be relatively easy to do. If you're getting into this work step has to be defined by a flow, it can actually we can now support data capture. So we can have, let's see, these are flows. Tell me you've got a data capture somewhere down here. I don't see any data captures. I still see flows. I wonder if it'll even call it a data capture. Yeah. I haven't even created a data capture in here yet, so I don't know what's in here. I was expecting it to call it data capture, but it could still just call it a flow. Yeah. So yeah, to Bruce's point, if it is a flow, try to make it generic where it says, yeah, like verify the asset serial number. And then you can still feed in the asset. Like, depending on how your flow is launched, you could launch a work step, look up to the parent to see the work plan. Let me just show you what I mean by this. And then look to see if it's related to the work order or the work order line item, because every single work plan is parented, right? It's ultimately parented to the work order. So by doing a triple jump from a work step, you can grab certain attributes of the work order. I don't know if that made sense. Right. So from the work, I don't even have to triple jump. From the work step, I have direct access to the work order. So if I needed to check the asset of the work order, I could do that. But if the step is related to a work order line item and the asset is related to the work order line item, I can grab that asset's serial number just by jumping in to look at the related asset of that work order line item or the work order. Has anybody set up work steps and work plans before?
Yeah.
So again, more nice. So again, we've got this quasi metadata or reference data. We got to create those templates. So another feature capability that requires reference data. So getting a customer to give you a list of those work plans and work steps in advance helps, because then maybe you can import them. When you do an implementation, you almost want to start small, teach them how to create one or two work plans or work steps, and then have them create the rest. Because if it was us, because if they don't have something that can be imported, do they really want to invest in an implementer and you pay all those, maybe like 50 to 100 hours of consulting time to create all these records? Might not be in their best interest. So I usually suggest to the customer, use this time to learn how to use the system, because I'm going to bet, I could bet easily 100 cookies that they're going to want to make changes to their work plans and work steps when normal course of business happens. Like, they're going to want to change that really fast. So yeah, again, you should learn how to manage these records. The important piece of the page layout is there is a Lightning Web Component type of thing here called Work Plans. It's a standard component. You drag that onto the work order page layout. You could also drag it onto the work order line item page layout, so it's available in both. So Bruce messaged me today. He said, "Hey, do you think it's possible that we can put this cute little component on a community?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know, because it's a Lightning component and it's like experience. I don't know." And you totally can. Is that the best? So the way that it worked was back to Builder. I had a work order detail plan that was already created. So this is a partner community. This is a page that's from an object record. And I created a tab because I wanted it to be tabular. And I just went to go look at work plans, and it was totally there. So now they can have this in their desktop experience, which is pretty exciting. This also means, it's also available in the mobile app. So if they are logging in to the community, like to the mobile app via the community, they're seeing it through the mobile app. So you don't really have to worry about this community piece for mobile users. But if they're a dispatcher, or they do and they complete all their work on a desktop, you'll need to do this. So Bruce, is this exciting? Do
Yeah,
we need to check to see if it's a community, like customer community?
Probably. And then I would
Yeah.
want to put through the paces some of the actual steps. My concern was if the business logic of getting the thing done, each step is built as perhaps data capture, to your point, perhaps legacy field service mobile flows that we have, and we want to open this up to contractors on a
Mhm.
community, and that's going to be their only experience. But the main goal is get them to quote unquote fill out our checklist like our people do it today. Does any of that need to be rebuilt? Like, will the field service
Yeah.
mobile flows themselves fail when trying to get squeezed through the colander onto the community screen there?
Yeah.
So,
It might.
yeah, I think surfacing the component, that's the first piece of good news. But then, yeah, the rest of it, will the individual actions run and do what they need to do? And
Yep. Ooh, that was a close one. I didn't think I was going to have it. But the thing that I don't have on the customer community is the cute tabs. Like, I got to do it this way. It's gross. Unless I'm wrong.
new and deprecated. You know,
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Can I put this on it? Oh, I got like a tab and a tab. So this is kind of how I set it up here. I used the new layout and I gave this details. Save this one. Man, it really is comforting when you know it's like the difference of learning something new versus, oh, I really know how to do this. It's like, oh my God, the learning curve can be so steep. So it works in community.
Yeah.
Customer, I mean.
And that work order instructions piece at the bottom of the component, is that something new? Like, what do we get
No,
there?
no. See, I think this is just another step. And I think it's another work step. Oh, I meant to press preview. Good news.
Oh, meaning the bubbled ones are, it's a different, their section. I get it. They're, okay.
Yeah. Each plan is considered its own section.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
There's other things too. Like some people wanted to say, like, the control of what is done and the percentage of what is done. Like, and what's visible here, like, obviously, you don't want log a call. So
Yep.
just know that these are all work step page layouts. You do your mobile actions, just clean up your mobile FASIC, whatever that section is called on the page layout. And then these will all go away. And then when you launch a flow, there's a setting in field service settings in setup, not in the managed package. There's a work plans settings here somewhere. It's not here. It's
work plans, I think. Yeah.
like meaning to say work plans in here.
Yeah. So instead of field service, if you search for work plan,
Thank you. I knew it. I'm like, there's boxes at the top. Yes, thank you. So you could change the work step status when the flow is launched versus in the flow. We wanted to be able to control what the work step status was at the end of the flow. Like, because I could run the flow and the status might be incomplete because of the result of whatever the steps were throughout the flow. Just because I launched the flow doesn't mean that the work step is complete. So that's what this is. And that's why we check this box. So I don't know. This is weird language though. Manually update when the flows are launched.
A work steps status when the,
So does this mean that if it's a flow, I now have the ability to manually update the work step in my flow? Not when it's, you know what I mean? I
sort
don't
of
know.
like
I'm going to check it and I'll play with it.
Right.
Yeah. And then just like with mapping rules from like a lead conversion, you could also map over the work plan to work step fields, right? External ID, you might want to map external ID from the template to the step. So these are some interesting things that you can capture, because you could get your steps from sort of some other site. I don't know where, but yeah. So, okay, so that's it. I wanted to get into first time fixed rate, but maybe we will talk about that next time. And yeah, thank you all for coming in again, and we will talk again soon.
Leah,
Thanks, Liam.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, thank you. Bye bye.